Coming up on today's Wild West. All aboard for a trip back in time aboard Colorado's Cumbres and Toltec Railroad.
Hey!
Then we'll saddle up at Rainbow Trout Ranch, a Rocky Mountain dude ranch, fishing retreat, and much more. Today's Wild West, up next. The Wild West. It's still out there. And we'll show you how to find it. This is today's Wild West.
The present is gone, it's all the past.
A coal-fired steam train rumbles through the wide-open prairie of the American West. Heading up into the mountains, where the narrow-gauge railroad tracks will climb to over 10,000 feet as they cut through Cumbres Pass, the highest steam-powered railroad in North America. It may not be 1880, but it sure does look like it when you climb on board the Cumbres and Toltec Scenic Railroad.
It is a glimpse of the authentic West. We aren't reenacting the past. It just is the past.
This National Historic Landmark runs 64 winding miles between Chama, New Mexico and Antonito, Colorado, crisscrossing the state line 11 times along the way.
And then we'll go back into New Mexico and then back into Colorado. Boom, boom.
As the train chugs through remote, beautiful, and unspoiled country that looks much like it did when these tracks were first laid back in 1880.
The views are just gorgeous, and we just love like the charm of the old train, the tunnels, the ghost towns you go by. It's gorgeous.
Right.
Yeah.
While it feels faster, the train rolls along at just 12 miles an hour.
So it gives you an opportunity to see the America that the American dream was based on.
The slower pace also comes with no internet or cell phone service.
And at 12 miles an hour, the whole world gets huge. People slow down, they start to reconnect. We see it time after time.
It's just a good day trip for everyone to do. It's worth the money and getting away from everything and just enjoying the beauty.
The views are beautiful and the history is fascinating, which Docent Bonsall Johnson is happy to share.
I enjoy the people we meet and sharing something I'm really enthusiastic about.
On this rolling piece of living history, time has stood still in the cab of engine 487.
I just love it. I love steam trains.
Where fireman engineer Jake Vigil feeds the coal fire that powers the steam engine driven today by engineer Jeff Stebbins.
All these engines operate differently. They may look the same, but they all got their own personalities.
Stebbins has been a steam train engineer for more than 20 years.
The biggest part of it is knowing the track, to know where you need to make brake applications and keeping the train stretched.
No complications today. Just a smooth ride with an ever-changing view out the window of an office where everyone is happy to come to work.
Oh, there's a lot to like about it. It's interesting all the time.
I just love them. It's in my blood.
By the way, if you've ever dreamed of being the engineer of an old-time steam train, the Cumbres Toltec can make it happen through their 4-day engineering school.
Where people pay roughly $2,500, and they come out and get to spend several days on a locomotive, learning how to fire it and run it.
The train rolls into a long tunnel carved out of a mountain. And as daylight reappears, we get a look at Toltec Gorge, an impressive sight. Then another you'd never expect, trackside monument to President James Garfield, assassinated in 1881 as the railroad was being built. We pass that landmark just before the train rolls into Osier Station. Elevation 10,000 feet.
It's a 2-quilt night every night. That's right, and I've yet to swat a mosquito.
Where we'll stop for a very tasty lunch prepared by a very cheerful chef.
It's a great place to be. I'm very lucky, very, very lucky to be here.
While passengers dined on lunch,
How many gallons of water do you take on?
crew was gassing up the train with water.
You got to have sufficient water in the boiler. It's the most important thing. And after that, brakes.
Then it's back on the road again. To enjoy the rhythm of the rails, spectacular country, huh?
Yeah, it is.
And soak in the scenery. It's all thanks to the people who saved this former stretch of the Denver Rio Grande. Built during the Colorado silver boom in the 1880s, the boom went bust by 1893. But the narrow gauge track that ran through this remote country had become too important to abandon.
It didn't make enough money for them to upgrade it, but it was too important to just scrap it. And so it just sort of held on. And that's why it managed to reach 1970 as this time capsule.
When the Denver Rio Grande finally did decide to pull the plug for good, preservationists rode to the rescue. Passengers are glad they did.
We don't have anything like this back in Tennessee, and y'all ought to be really proud of this. Everybody ought to come out here and do this.
Yeah, this train is nice. Probably the nicest one we've been on.
Today, the Cumbres Toltec is jointly owned and operated by the states of New Mexico and Colorado.
So basically, both states equally own all of this, and so it's owned by the people. Our mission is very special, therefore, because what we are doing here is preserving this history.
This historic railroad goes to great lengths to provide a truly authentic experience.
This locomotive, she ran for the first time since 1935, last September.
When we visited, their craftsmen had completed restoration of engine 168, built in 1883, and were on the home stretch of restoring several 19th century passenger cars. Cars that once looked like this one.
This car was built for service on this railroad to go behind that locomotive, and they will be running over the highest operating mountain pass in this hemisphere of the world behind the equipment that it was supposed to, as if it was the 1880s all over again.
Restoring these old train cars is like an archaeological dig that uncovers the ups and downs of running what was often a troubled railroad.
And what's interesting, these artifacts then tell a story as you're getting into them. It's not just the story of the halcyon days of yore, it's the story of feast and famine and hardship and good times, and you can read it in the artifact itself. It tells a story of this railroad and the people that worked for it and the communities that it served.
But they need your support to keep it all going.
These things survive because people come and ride.
So while the Cumbres Toltec is a spectacular scenic railroad, it's also much more than that.
Even though we are an operating railroad, we are really a museum on wheels, a living history institution.
It's still 64 miles of 1880. It is the past as far as the eye can see in any direction.
Hi, I'm Mark Bedore. Today's Wild West is high in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado at Rainbow Trout Ranch, where there's plenty of rainbow trout, wonderful horses, and a great family that makes it all happen. We'll show you coming up on Today's Wild West. If you like Today's Wild West, you'll love great rides of Today's Wild West. See the first chapter and order your signed copy at todayswildwest.com. Late afternoon at Rainbow Trout Ranch in Colorado. Quitting time for the horses. And they put on the thrilling show as they head out for their overnight pasture, running for all they're worth. Hey! Hey! Quite the dramatic photo op. Moments later, the wranglers in charge of this show put on one of their own, demonstrating what their own horses can do. Fun stuff, and another Kodak moment at the end of another memorable day high in the Rocky Mountains.
But that doesn't raise the river too much.
Just north of the New Mexico border, this historic refuge is all Western. Plus, a fly fishing paradise, and a host of other activities, all wrapped up in a summer camp atmosphere, sure to please kids of all ages, including Mom and Dad.
We try to make this feel like the Old West, but with some amenities.
And it's all thanks to the Van Berkom family, who set the warm and welcoming, family-friendly vibe that keeps people coming back year after year.
This place is good for the soul.
Tony and Ann Williams are here for their 21st summer.
The scenery, the mountains, the horses, the whitewater rafting, the trout fishing, and all the other stuff that there is going on. It's just fantastic.
Rainbow Trout was founded in the 1920s as a fishing lodge by a Texas oil family looking to escape the summer heat of the Lone Star State. They built the rustic cabins and the magnificent main lodge that's like a cathedral built of logs, featuring a pair of massive stone fireplaces.
You know, we've been dude ranching for quite a long time, David and I, both here at the ranch, as well as working on other dude ranches. And I have to say, this is one of the coolest lodges I've ever seen. We're very blessed to have it.
Yeah, this has some great history because it was built in 1925.
Natives of Iowa, the Van Berkom's history here begins in the early 1990s.
So we have all the waders, fishing poles, boots, and everything for everybody, so they meet their guide here.
Dave Van Berkom fell in love with dude ranching and his bride-to-be Jane while both were wrangling in a Montana dude ranch. They dreamed of owning their own dude ranch, an idea that soon captured the imagination of Dave's entire family. Meantime, Rainbow Trout was on the market.
So they put the place up for sale, and everybody was afraid of how old it was, so it stood empty for 3 years. So we walked in, there was nothing here except the lights and the yellow curtains.
It took a lot of work, but somehow it opened in 1993.
We were very lucky because Billy Crystal had come out with this movie called City Slickers, and we actually did pretty well that first year.
Today, 3 generations of the Van Berkoms spend the summer welcoming guests to Rainbow Trout.
So this is our 28th year. We now have 6 grandchildren that range in age from 18 to 22. Last year, all 6 of them worked here, and they have a feel for this place and a love for this place.
But the extended family also includes the treasured staff of wranglers, dining room crew, and housekeepers, all with a cheerful attitude that lights this place up like a ray of sunshine.
We call it Linda Clean.
And they're fabulous. We love them. They're a part of our family. We do not consider them the hired help.
Everybody's just so accommodating and helpful and loving, and it's just this total feeling that I get when I walk into this lodge.
Just hang on to the reins with one hand?
Well, we tell them that we can have fabulous scenery, fabulous lodge, we can have all these great things, but at the end of the day, our greatest resource is our staff, and they absolutely make a huge difference to everybody's vacation. They're a huge part of their week with us.
So as long as the weather behaves...
The Wranglers are a photogenic crew right out of Dude Ranch Central Casting, like Austin Sharp.
Wrote 5 steers in whatever it was, I think 38 seconds or something, and that was the fastest of that day, so got a buckle and a whole bunch of money and called it a day.
A California cowboy from a family of rodeo stars, Sharp, as he likes to be known, rides like every guest wants to.
Okay, all ready? We'll just kind of go up on here and we'll call it a day, huh? Sound good?
Fun guy to share the trail with.
Yeah, anything that I can do to share the Western lifestyle with people, I think.
Arden Foster left Atlanta to experience the American West and is spending her 5th summer as a Rainbow Trout wrangler.
I grew up in the suburbs of Atlanta and I fell in love with the Western lifestyle. Hard to beat.
Horses are the heart of the ranch, which takes great pride in its riding program.
David and Jane's program is structured in such a way that it allows people to build up their confidence. You know, they're wanting to help people learn and grow.
So you are at your most vulnerable mounting and dismounting. So we ask that you wait for the wrangler just in case.
Jane kicks off Monday morning with a little horseback 101 in front of the main lodge.
Well, our big thing really is to expose people to the West on horseback.
Jane grew up horseback on her family ranch, first in Kenya, later in Argentina and Brazil.
The thing about horses, as we all know, is they're wonderful, but you can get hurt on a horse. So our main focus is to try and keep people safe. But at the same time, we want to make sure people have a great time. So we trot, we lope, we do all kinds of fun stuff. We bushwhack, but the emphasis is on good horsemanship and safety.
If you like Today's Wild West, you'll love great ranches of Today's Wild West. See the first chapter and order your signed copy at todayswildwest.com. troutranch.com. Rainbow Trout Ranch keeps about 150 horses suitable for any kind of rider, 20% of which are bred and raised right here at the ranch, like this beautiful buckskin I'm riding, Peyton.
Been breeding horses for over 20 years here at the ranch. It's not feasible to raise all 100 head, but we're fortunate enough to be able to have a great stallion, and he's produced some of the best-minded babies, and they've turned out to be excellent dude horses for us as well.
Gunner is a new arrival to the herd. It'll be a while, but someday this cute little guy will join the string of horses that'll provide just about any kind of ride you want to go on.
Jane goes out of her way for people to get the kind of ride they want. We will have 15 people riding and we'll have 8 rides. So we accommodate a lot of requests with that.
Always, always, always make sure you guys have your heels down.
Attentive wranglers provide timely tips on rides throughout the week, helpful but not overbearing. Like here in the arena for team penning, a chance to do some competitive timed cattle work.
Come on up this way, guys. Remember, guys, work together, okay?
The concept is simple enough. Find the cows with the right numbered ear tag.
All right, 743, 507, and 632.
And drive them into the pen. But the execution can sometimes be a bit of a challenge. It's all good fun. Good for your horsemanship, too.
756. You can let those go. Good job, everybody.
Later, we'll put the cows away and get the chance to do a little barrel racing and pole bending.
It's really pretty through here.
But you'll spend almost all of your time horseback out of the arena, exploring the virtually unlimited trails and terrain surrounding the ranch. What's your favorite part?
The horses.
Yeah. Erin is here with her dad celebrating her 18th birthday this week on her 4th visit to Rainbow Trout, even though she rides back home in Texas.
We've been to a couple other ranches and like this one the best, so we just keep coming back.
It's beautiful country, loping down flat trails, switchbacking up mountainsides, cruising through forests of aspen, crossing clear mountain streams.
Oh my gosh!
We came across a herd of elk on the day-long Outback ride.
That's awesome. I'm so happy we saw something.
And we stumbled upon another very rare treat on another adventure, a badger. The ferocious critter did not appreciate our company, but he did let us take his picture. Mornings start early at Rainbow when the horses are driven in from their overnight pasture, and the corrals are busy as the crew brushes and saddles up the horses for the day. And guests are welcome to help.
Awesome. Thank you, girls.
And you don't mind brushing in the morning, huh?
No, it's actually kind of peaceful, relaxing.
Yep, and then you want to make sure you get under here, make sure there's no dirt where her cinch is going to go. And then you can do her mane with the back side of this.
The Lippies own 2 of their own horses back home in Texas, but here they can all be horseback together.
I have to come here to ride and all this pretty scenery.
Yeah. Kids can ride with mom and dad, but most of the time, they'll be riding and enjoying other activities with their new friends in the children's program.
Oh, I love it.
11-year-old Elizabeth is here from Indiana, riding with her twin brothers Luke and Andrew and the rest of the cowpokes, kids ages 6 to 11.
Honestly, I just love the whole thing. Like, the horses are probably the best part, but I mean, like meeting a lot of new people is awesome too.
There's another program for younger children and a third for teens.
I love it. It's so far out here, so you have like peace and quiet, I guess. But the horses are great also, and all the trail rides. It's fun to have so much freedom too.
All the wranglers are very sweet and just a very nice place.
It's so fun to see them disconnect from the current technology and all that kind of thing, and sort of get back to a simpler time. And they're in tears when they say goodbye to their horses and their friends, and it's a wonderful thing to see them just be a regular kid again. It's awesome. We love that.
With the children in good hands, Kelly Costello is taking advantage of that freedom to discover fly fishing.
And this was the first time I came out fishing that I understood why you could leave for 5 hours and not know what time it is and get caught up in the whole aspect of fishing. And luckily, everybody here at Rainbow Trout's willing to help a newbie like me.
And that's part of the deal. You don't have to pay a guide extra for this. This is part of it. They know this river.
Nice.
Kelly's husband is enjoying his day in the water just steps away.
Can't beat it. Out in the mountains in a river. Trying not to let the fish outsmart us.
If you like Today's Wild West, you'll love our Western wall art. See our beautiful images by clicking on photography at todayswildwest.com.
There you go.
There are other new adventures to experience too, like archery
Just above it again.
Over his head.
All right.
and safely supervised trap shooting.
Cheek on there.
Cheek on here.
Safety's still on. I'm going to take the safety off.
Okay.
Call pull when you're ready.
Pull.
That was my first time ever even holding a shotgun.
How was it?
You go.
Fantastic.
Let's do it next year.
Mealtime is just as much fun. Like Doug says, it's Old West with amenities that includes a pool and a poolside barbecue for lunch. But put a bunch of cowboys next to a pool on a hot summer day, and there's bound to be a little competitive mischief. We'll all be back outside in the evenings, too. One night for a little line dancing. Another, a picnic dinner on the banks of the river, followed by a sunset hayride. And if you're up for it, 5:45. The adventures here get started even before the sun does, with a pre-dawn hike to catch the sunrise from Charity Peak, towering above the ranch. 9,000 steps? 9,000! Of course, you can't take time just to chill. And there's no better place to do that than on the big porch that wraps around the main lodge, where you can sit back and watch the hummingbirds and see riders approaching off in the distance. It all flies by. Before we know it, it's time for the weekend rodeo, a chance for the kids to show mom and dad what they can do on a horse. And later, one last show as we watch those magnificent horses run. Rainbow Trout Ranch, the Wild West, a fishing retreat, and one big summer camp. Kids ages 1 to 100.
This place is good for the soul.
That's it for now. We're back next time with more cool stuff from today's Wild West. I'm Mark Bedore. We'll see you down the trail. Let's see him. For more information on the people and places featured in today's Wild West, or to order show DVDs and books, visit todayswildwest.com. Funding for Today's Wild West provided by the Leggett Foundation,